Welcome, my friend, to a quiet corner of the universe where the greatest stories aren't told in the stars, but whispered within the human heart. Have you ever felt a stirring, a secret longing for a different kind of power? Not the kind that makes you fly or lifts buildings, but a deeper, more profound strength. A strength that lets you walk through the world with grace and wisdom. A knowing smile on your lips because you understand the invisible currents that guide us all. This journey is for you. It's an invitation to step behind the curtain of your own mind and discover 20 hidden truths, secrets of psychology and human behavior so powerful they can transform you. Each one is a key to unlock a different door, revealing not a magical kingdom, but the awe-inspiring landscape of your own potential. We'll explore these insights not as cold, academic facts, but as living, breathing stories, inspired by the gentle rhythms of nature itself. Together, we'll learn to see the world not just as it appears, but as it truly is, uncovering the silent forces that shape our decisions, our relationships, and our very sense of self. So, take a deep breath, settle in, and prepare to discover the hero that has been waiting patiently within you all along. This is more than just a lesson. It's the beginning of your own quiet revolution. Imagine a tiny seed, nestled deep in the earth, knowing it holds the blueprint for a majestic oak tree. It doesn't rush, doesn't demand sunlight or water with impatience. It simply waits, drawing in what it needs, trusting the slow, deliberate process of growth. This quiet patience, this unwavering faith in a future reward, is the very essence of delayed gratification. It's the secret power we witnessed in the now famous Stanford marshmallow test, where young children were offered a simple choice: one marshmallow now, or two if they could wait just a few minutes. The children who could wait were not just exhibiting willpower, they were acting like that patient seed, understanding that a greater reward was worth the temporary sacrifice of a small, immediate pleasure. In the grand garden of life, many of us are impatient. We demand instant blooms, instant success, and instant happiness. We live in a world of one-click purchases and immediate notifications, and this constant stream of instant gratification has eroded our ability to wait, to trust the slow, deliberate work of planting and nurturing. We see a brilliant artist and wish for their talent without acknowledging the thousands of hours of practice. We see a successful entrepreneur and want their wealth without enduring the years of struggle and failure. We are tempted to grab the one marshmallow now, to take the easy path, to choose the quick fix because the future feels too far away and uncertain. This impatience is not a flaw in our character. It's a deeply ingrained human tendency, a whisper from our evolutionary past that tells us to seize the moment. For tomorrow is not guaranteed, but the superhero within us, the inner gardener, understands a different truth. It knows that the most beautiful and lasting things in life, true mastery, deep relationships, profound inner peace, are not a result of a sudden event, but a slow, continuous cultivation. The ability to delay gratification is not a restriction of pleasure, but an expansion of it. It's the decision to forgo the fleeting thrill of an impulse buy in favor of a future trip, or to choose a difficult workout now for the reward of a stronger body later. It's the quiet strength to study for an exam instead of binge-watching a show, knowing that this small act of discipline will build a foundation for future success. This is where we learn the difference between fleeting satisfaction and enduring fulfillment. When you practice delayed gratification, you are not just exercising willpower, You are actively rewiring your brain. You are building the neural pathways for foresight, for resilience, and for a deeper sense of self-control. This isn't about denying yourself. It's about honoring your future self. It's about making choices today that your future self will thank you for. This ability is the key to escaping the cycle of instant gratification regret and stepping into a life of intentionality and purpose. By cultivating this inner gardener's patience, you gain the superpower to make choices aligned with your deepest values, to build a life of genuine substance, and to watch with quiet satisfaction as your efforts blossom into something truly magnificent and enduring. In a dense, ancient forest, a single bird's song does not exist in isolation. It becomes part of a larger symphony. Another bird, hearing the melody, might subtly adjust its own tune, echoing the rhythm, the pitch, and the tone, not out of mimicry, but out of a deep, instinctual need to connect, to belong to the choir. This isn't a conscious decision. It's a natural, almost subconscious act of attunement. This is the essence of the Chameleon Effect, a hidden psychological truth where we unconsciously mirror the nonverbal behaviors of others, their posture, their gestures, and their facial expressions to build a silent bridge of connection. It's a subtle, beautiful dance that happens just beneath the surface of every conversation. A way our bodies speak a language of rapport that our words often can't capture. In our bustling human world, this instinctual echo often gets lost. We are so focused on our own thoughts, our own words, and our own anxieties about how we are perceived that we fail to hear the other person's silent song. We might be sitting across from someone in a cafe, both of us with our arms crossed. Yet neither of us is aware that we are locked in a silent standoff. Our bodies signaling resistance even as our words try to find common ground. We meet new people and try to impress them with our cleverness or our accomplishments, not realizing that the most powerful connection is often forged not through what we say, but through the unconscious, gentle way we match their rhythm, nodding when they nod, leaning in when they lean in. We are so busy trying to project a perfect image of ourselves that we forget the simple, profound power of just being with someone, of letting our bodies speak the same language. This lack of awareness can create a subtle distance, a sense of otherness that makes it harder to form genuine bonds. The superhero within us, however, understands this secret language. They are not trying to be a chameleon to deceive, but to connect. They understand that by subtly mirroring someone's body language, they are sending a powerful, unspoken message. I see you. I hear you. We are on the same wavelength. This isn't about becoming a copycat. It's about a deep, empathetic listening with your entire being. When you consciously practice this, you become more present in your interactions. You're not just hearing the words, you're feeling the emotion behind them. This practice helps you build a profound sense of trust and belonging, turning fleeting acquaintances into genuine connections. It's the secret sauce of charismatic leaders and deeply empathetic friends, the ability to make others feel seen, heard, and understood without a single word. The benefit of harnessing this superpower is a life rich with authentic connection. By consciously tuning in to the nonverbal cues of others and responding in kind, you gain the ability to build rapport effortlessly. You become a bridge builder, a person who can walk into a room and instantly make others feel at ease. This skill goes beyond mere social niceties. It's a profound tool for empathy, for understanding the silent world of others' emotions and intentions. By embracing the chameleon effect, you stop trying to project your own image and start truly seeing the person in front of you, creating a powerful, unspoken bond that will draw others to you, like a moth to a flame. In the vast, silent canvas of the night sky, a single star shines with what seems like overwhelming brilliance, a tiny pinprick of light that feels like the center of the universe to the solitary observer below. It feels as if that star is the only one, and its light is the only thing the universe can possibly see. But from another perspective, from the grand, cosmic view, that star is just one of billions, a tiny, quiet spark lost in the magnificent sprawl of a galaxy. Its light, though beautiful, is only a fraction of the celestial story. This illusion of solitary prominence, where we feel as though we are the sole focal point of attention, is the very essence of the spotlight effect, a profound psychological truth that reveals our deep-seated tendency to overestimate how much others notice our appearance and behavior. It is the persistent, whispered lie that we are always on stage, and everyone is watching our every stumble, our every flaw, our every embarrassing moment. In our human lives, we often live as if we are that lonely star, convinced that every small detail of our existence is under a harsh and constant light. We spend hours agonizing over a small stain on our shirt, a slightly awkward comment we made in a meeting, or a bad hair day, believing that these are glaring imperfections that everyone else is scrutinizing. We hesitate to speak up in a group for fear of saying something foolish, and we shy away from trying new things because we're convinced we will fail and be judged. This anxiety, this constant self-consciousness, is a heavy burden to carry. It holds us back from living authentically and from taking the risks that lead to personal growth. We become so fixated on what we believe others are thinking about us that we lose touch with our own thoughts, our own desires, and our own actions. This illusion is particularly strong when we are in a new environment or interacting with new people, as we instinctively believe that their focus is solely on us. We assume a level of importance in others' minds that simply doesn't exist. Our own internal monologue, filled with self-criticism and doubt, becomes an echo chamber, amplifying our insecurities until they feel like a universal judgment. We are, in essence, our own harshest critics, projecting our fears onto the world and then believing the world is sending them back to us. We forget that just as we are preoccupied with our own lives, so too are the people around us. They are the stars in their own galaxies, consumed by their own worries, their own hopes, and their own journeys. The superpower of understanding the spotlight effect is the liberating truth that you are not the center of everyone's universe. The people around you are not your audience. They are co-stars in their own dramas, preoccupied with their own lines and their own motivations. This knowledge gives you the freedom to finally stop performing. It is an invitation to take a deep breath and realize that the vast majority of people are not paying nearly as much attention to you as you think they are. When you accept this, the pressure to be perfect melts away. You can wear what makes you feel comfortable, say what you genuinely believe, and try new things without the paralyzing fear of judgment. You can make a mistake, and instead of feeling like the entire world just saw you trip, you can simply laugh it off, knowing that in 5 minutes, most people will have forgotten about it entirely. This is not a license for recklessness, but a gentle permission to be human. It is the realization that your mistakes are not monumental events in anyone else's life, and your moments of social awkwardness are fleeting and insignificant in the grand scheme of things. It allows you to shift your focus from external validation to internal fulfillment, from trying to manage others' perceptions to simply living your own life with joy and courage. The benefit of internalizing this secret is profound. It is the key to unlocking true self-confidence and authenticity. By understanding that others are not as focused on you as you imagine, you gain the freedom to express yourself more fully, to be more spontaneous, and to take more chances. You can speak up in that meeting, ask that question, or wear that unique outfit, because the fear of being judged is no longer the primary motivator. You learn to live for yourself, not for the imagined gaze of others. This liberation allows you to redirect all the mental and emotional energy you once spent on worrying and put it toward pursuing your passions, building genuine relationships, and creating a life that is truly your own. The spotlight was never really on you. It was always in your mind. And with this newfound understanding, you now have the power to turn it off and finally step out into the vast, beautiful world, free from the illusion that held you captive. Part 5. The Placebo Effect's Mind-Body Alchemy. The Gardener and the Sun. Imagine a simple seed. But this time, it is not just waiting, it is believing. A gentle gardener places it in the soil, whispering words of encouragement, promising it warmth and nourishment. The gardener does not just tend to the soil and water the plant. They tend to the seed's belief. When the sun shines, the seed believes this is the exact, perfect light it needs. When the rain falls, it believes this is the exact, perfect drink it needs. In reality, the sun and rain are simply doing what they always do. But the seed's belief transforms their ordinary presence into a profound healing force. This is the essence of the placebo effect, a secret of the mind-body connection, so powerful it can convince the body to heal itself based on the mere belief that it is receiving treatment, even when that treatment is inert. It's the ultimate proof that our mind is not just an observer of our physical state, but an active, creative participant in it. A master alchemist capable of turning expectation into reality in the complex garden of our own health and well-being. We often forget this truth. We have been conditioned to believe that our bodies are separate from our minds, that our physical ailments are purely a matter of biology, and that healing can only come from external sources like medicine or surgery. We become passive recipients of treatment, waiting for a pill or a procedure to fix us, without realizing that our own mental state holds a tremendous untapped power. We give away our agency, believing that we are helpless victims of our circumstances, our genetics, or our environment. When we are sick, our mindset often shifts to one of fear and despair, which, ironically, can exacerbate our symptoms. We focus on the pain, the limitations, and the negative outcomes, feeding our illness with our own anxieties. We tell ourselves stories of helplessness and our bodies, listening intently, often fulfill those narratives. This separation of mind and body is one of the most significant fictions we live with, and it disarms us of our greatest healing tool, our own belief. The superhero within us, however, is a master of this mind-body alchemy. They understand that every thought, every emotion, and every belief sends a cascade of signals throughout the body. When they are faced with a physical challenge, They don't just wait for an external cure. They become an active partner in their own healing. This is not about magically curing disease with thought alone, but about activating the body's natural, powerful healing mechanisms. It's about using the mind to create an internal environment conducive to wellness. The practice might be as simple as visualizing a healthy body, speaking words of encouragement to yourself, or practicing gratitude for the parts of your body that are working well. This is not a form of denial. It is an act of empowerment. It is the conscious decision to feed your body and mind with hope, faith, and positive expectation, rather than fear and doubt. It's about treating your body as a wise, capable partner in a collaborative dance toward health, rather than a broken machine that needs to be fixed. The profound benefit of embracing this psychological secret is the reclamation of your personal power. By understanding and harnessing the placebo effect, you gain the ability to influence your own physical and emotional well-being in ways you never thought possible. You become an active participant in your own health journey, rather than a passive bystander. This can manifest in countless ways, from reducing stress and anxiety to managing chronic pain and accelerating recovery from injury. It's the knowledge that your mindset can, quite literally, change your body's chemistry. This superpower allows you to approach challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for your mind to partner with your body in a powerful, transformative way. By learning to cultivate a mindset of hope and positive expectation, you become a source of healing for yourself, proving that the most potent medicine of all often lies not in a bottle, but within the boundless potential of your own mind. A songbird, perched on a branch, might start a beautiful melody, but before the final note is sung, a sudden rustle in the leaves interrupts its song. It flies away, but the tune doesn't simply vanish. It lingers in the air, a phantom melody, calling for a resolution. This unfinished song is not a source of distress for the bird. It's a seed of purpose, a magnetic pull that will eventually draw it back to finish its tune. This is the simple, elegant truth behind the Ziggarnic Effect, a powerful psychological phenomenon that reveals our mind's natural tendency to remember incomplete tasks and unresolved experiences far more vividly than those we have finished. It's the silent, insistent hum of an unfinished project, a forgotten idea, or a conversation that ended abruptly, all of them creating a gentle, internal pressure to return and find closure. This isn't a bug in our cognitive system. It's a brilliant, built-in feature designed to keep us engaged, motivated, and on the path toward completion. In our busy, modern lives, we often see this effect as a source of stress. We feel overwhelmed by a never-ending to-do list, a stack of unfinished books, or a half-written creative project, and we interpret this mental clutter as a sign of failure or a lack of discipline. We beat ourselves up for not being able to let things go, for the nagging feeling that there's always something else we should be doing. We try to force ourselves to forget about our work when we're at home, but our minds, in their wisdom, refuse to let go, sending us little mental reminders of the projects waiting for us. This constant mental tug-of-war creates a state of perpetual anxiety, turning a natural motivational tool into a source of suffering. We see the unfinished song as a burden rather than as a promise of a future melody. We focus so much on the feeling of being overwhelmed that we miss the profound opportunity. It presents the chance to harness this innate psychological drive and use it to our advantage. Instead of a source of shame, The unfinished tasks in our minds can be a wellspring of creativity and a powerful engine for progress. The superhero within us understands how to use this effect as a creative force, not a source of stress. They know that the mind is a garden, and the Ziggarnic Effect is a skilled gardener, constantly tending to the seeds of their projects. They intentionally leave tasks incomplete, not out of laziness, but as a strategic act of engagement. For example, a writer might intentionally stop mid-sentence at the end of their writing session, knowing that the unfinished thought will stick in their mind and make it easier to dive back in the next day. An artist might leave a section of their painting untouched, knowing that their subconscious mind will continue to work on the problem in the background. This is a form of cognitive judo, where you take a natural human tendency and turn it into a powerful tool for productivity. It is about trusting the process and understanding that your mind is an ally, not an enemy. It is about seeing the lingering thoughts of an unfinished project, not as an annoyance, but as a gentle guide, pulling you toward the next step. This allows you to work more efficiently, creatively, and with less friction, as you're no longer fighting against your own mind's natural inclinations. The benefit of mastering this secret is the ability to maintain a state of perpetual flow and creative momentum. By intentionally creating open loops in your projects, you ensure that your work is never far from your mind, even when you're not actively engaged with it. This leads to a life where your work and your passions are not something you have to force yourself to do, but something you are naturally drawn back to. It's the superpower of never losing your creative fire, of always having an internal engine of motivation running in the background. The Ziggarnic Effect, when understood and leveraged correctly, transforms the anxiety of incompleteness into the anticipation of a grand finale. It helps you see the value in the journey, not just the destination, and it turns every unfinished project into a promise of a new adventure, a song waiting to be completed. Imagine a quiet forest floor where a single, unassuming mushroom grows in the shadow of a magnificent, towering oak tree. The mushroom doesn't possess the oak's strength or grandeur, yet it is deeply connected to it, sharing the same soil, the same ecosystem. When the oak tree flourishes, its canopy expanding, providing more shade and dropping richer leaves, the entire forest floor, including the mushroom, benefits. The mushroom, in its own quiet way, is part of the oak's success. This is the simple, natural truth behind basking in reflected glory. A powerful psychological secret that reveals our innate tendency to feel a sense of pride and self-worth when someone or something we are connected to achieves success. It's the feeling we get when our favorite sports team wins a championship, when a colleague gets a well-deserved promotion, or when a family member achieves a significant goal. It is a social superpower, a way we borrow the light of others to brighten our own sense of self. In our competitive, individualistic culture, we often forget this powerful truth. We are taught to focus relentlessly on our own achievements, our own victories, and our own spotlight. We are told to be the oak tree, to stand alone and be the source of all our own glory. This mindset can make us see others' success, not as a shared triumph, but as a direct threat to our own self-worth. We might feel a pang of jealousy when a friend gets a promotion, or a sense of inadequacy when a peer wins an award. This a feeling of competition, or even worse, envy, which can lead to isolation and resentment, preventing us from celebrating the victories of others. We become so fixated on being the single star in the sky that we fail to see the beauty and strength of the constellation. This narrow focus on personal achievement disconnects us from the collective, from the shared human journey, and from the deep-seated satisfaction of being part of a team or a community that is flourishing. The superhero within us, however, understands the quiet power of the forest floor. They know that a rising tide lifts all boats. They are not threatened by the success of others. They are inspired by it. They see a friend's accomplishment as a testament to what is possible, a reason to celebrate, and feel a sense of shared pride. This is not a passive act. It is a conscious choice to connect your own sense of self-worth to the successes of your community, your team, and your loved ones. This isn't about riding on someone else's coattails. It is about actively supporting and celebrating those around you. When you genuinely cheer for others, you are not diminishing yourself. You are expanding your own capacity for joy and creating a positive, supportive ecosystem where everyone can thrive. You become a powerful part of a collective success story, and their victories become, in a very real way, your own. It is the ability to see the connections, to understand that we are all part of the same human family, and that the success of one person can be a source of strength and inspiration for all. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is a life rich with shared joy and genuine connection. By learning to truly bask in the reflected glory of others, you free yourself from the debilitating chains of envy and comparison. You become a person who uplifts others, and in doing so, you build a network of people who are just as eager to celebrate your victories. This creates a powerful, positive feedback loop of support and encouragement that fuels not only your own growth, but the growth of everyone around you. It's the superpower of collective happiness, of finding strength and inspiration, not just in your own accomplishments, but in the magnificent tapestry of human achievement that surrounds you. By embracing this art, you become a source of light for others, and in return, you are forever bathed in the warm glow of 1,000 triumphs. Imagine a mighty river, carving its path through mountains and valleys. Its currents powerful enough to turn turbines and sustain entire ecosystems. We can easily see the what of the river, the broad, flowing water. We can analyze the how, the specific turns and bends, the speed of its flow, the path it takes. But the true, inspiring power of the river, its very essence, comes from its source, its why, a tiny spring high in the mountains, a place of pure and unwavering purpose. This spring doesn't begin its journey by thinking about where it will end up. It begins simply by flowing, by being true to its nature. This is the profound truth behind the golden circle concept, a powerful insight that reveals why some leaders and organizations inspire us, while others only manage to command us. They all understand the what and the how, but the truly magnetic and influential among them start with why, the core belief, the purpose, and the reason for everything they do. In our personal and professional lives, we often start our journeys in the wrong place. We focus on the what and the how, on the tangible outcomes and the steps to get there. We tell ourselves, I need to get a new job, the what, and I will update my resume and apply to 20 places, the how. Or we say, I want to start a new hobby, the what, and I'll buy a new camera and watch tutorials, the how. We are so focused on the mechanics of our goals that we completely forget to connect with the deep-seated reason why we want to do these things in the first place. This approach is functional, but it is not inspiring. It is a path of mere motion, not of true purpose. When we are driven only by the what and the how, our motivation is often external and fragile. When we encounter obstacles, our resolve crumbles because we don't have a strong why to hold on to. We are like a river that has forgotten its source, flowing aimlessly without the powerful, consistent pull of its original purpose. This is a life lived on the surface, where we are busy but not fulfilled, moving but not truly advancing. The superhero within us understands that true power and inspiration come from the inside out. They start every endeavor with a crystal clear sense of why. This isn't just about identifying a goal. It's about connecting with a deeply personal, emotional, and values-driven reason for a job change. The why might be a desire for creative freedom, a need to help others, or a passion for building something new. For a new hobby, the why might be a longing for self-expression, a need to connect with nature, or a desire for a greater sense of mindfulness. By starting with this why, you create a strong foundation, a spring of motivation that will never run dry. The what and the how then become easy and effortless, because they are no longer tasks to be endured, but a natural extension of your core purpose. This approach transforms your actions from mere duties into a powerful expression of who you are and what you believe. It makes your work not a means to an end, but a meaningful journey in itself. The benefit of harnessing this secret is a life filled with purpose, passion, and genuine influence. By consistently connecting with your why, you become a magnet for like-minded people, ideas, and opportunities. People are not inspired by what you do. They are inspired by why you do it. This superpower allows you to lead with authenticity, to build meaningful relationships, and to create work that resonates deeply with others. It frees you from the fleeting trends and external pressures, giving you an unwavering sense of direction. When you start with why, you not only inspire yourself to overcome challenges, but you also inspire those around you to join you on your journey, creating a powerful ripple effect that can change your life and the lives of countless others. You become a true source of inspiration, a river flowing with purpose, and a force of nature in your own right. Imagine a single ray of sunlight filtering through the dense leaves of a forest. A single, brilliant beam that lands on a patch of earth. In that one spot, the ground feels warmer, the plants look healthier, and everything appears more vibrant and beautiful. This single, positive quality, the warmth and light of the sun, creates a kind of halo around everything it touches, making us perceive the entire patch of ground in a more favorable light. This is the essence of the halo effect, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's tendency to let one positive characteristic or impression of a person, a brand, or a concept disproportionately influence our overall judgment. It's the silent, unconscious bias that whispers, if they are kind, they must also be smart. Or, if this product looks good, it must also be high quality. It's a mental shortcut that saves us time but can also lead us to profound and often misleading conclusions. In our daily lives, we are constantly swayed by this unseen influence without even realizing it. We might meet someone who is exceptionally charming and charismatic, and we instantly assume they are also trustworthy, intelligent, and competent. in all areas of their life. Even if we have no evidence to support these assumptions, we see a person with an attractive appearance and automatically attribute a host of other positive qualities to them. Conversely, if a person has one negative trait, we can just as easily assume they have a host of other negative qualities. This is a cognitive bias that can have a significant impact on our lives. From the hiring decisions we make, to the people we choose to befriend, and the products we decide to buy. We are so easily captivated by the halo that we fail to look for a more complete and accurate picture. This can lead us to overlook the flaws of people we admire and dismiss the virtues of people we don't, trapping us in a world of superficial judgments and preventing us from forming deeper, more authentic connections. The superhero within us, however, knows how to see beyond the gentle warmth of a single sunbeam. They understand that a person's character, a brand's true value, or an idea's true merit is a complex tapestry of many different threads, not a simple, uniform color. This superpower is not about becoming a cynical or skeptical person. It's about being a discerning and wise observer. It's the ability to pause and ask, am I judging this person or this situation based on all the available evidence? Or am I letting one powerful impression color my entire view? This practice requires a conscious effort to separate individual traits from our overall perception. When you meet a charismatic person, you can admire their charm while still objectively evaluating their competence or trustworthiness. When you see a beautiful product, you can appreciate its design while still questioning its functionality and durability. This is about learning to see the whole picture, not just the part that shines brightest. It's about giving everyone and everything the dignity of a fair and complete evaluation, rather than a quick, biased judgment. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the ability to make better, more accurate decisions in every area of your life. By consciously neutralizing the halo effect, you gain the clarity to choose friends based on their true character, hire colleagues based on their genuine skills, and invest in ideas based on their actual merit. This superpower allows you to see people for who they truly are, a complex mix of strengths and weaknesses, virtues and flaws, and to appreciate that richness. It helps you form deeper, more resilient relationships, built on a foundation of reality, not on an illusion of perfection. By learning to see beyond the halo, you become a person of true discernment, a wise and compassionate observer who can appreciate the beauty and complexity in the world, one detail at a time. Part 10. The Dunning-Kruger Effect's Humbling Wisdom. The seed in the mountain, a tiny seed, a new arrival in a grand, ancient forest, might look around and believe it already understands the entire ecosystem. It sees the sun, feels the rain, and believes it knows everything there is to know about growth. It has a high degree of confidence, not because of its knowledge, but because of its sheer lack of it. It is unaware of the complex network of roots below ground, the intricate dance of the seasons, or the countless other life forms that make up the forest. Only when it grows into a sapling, beginning to truly understand the struggle for light and water, does its confidence begin to wane, replaced by a humbling awareness of how much there is to learn. This is the paradoxical core of the Dunning-Kruger Effect, a psychological secret that reveals a fascinating truth. Those with the least amount of knowledge or skill in a particular area are often the most confident, while those with true expertise tend to underestimate their own abilities. It's a humbling and liberating lesson in the nature of true mastery. In our human journey, This effect manifests in countless ways, often leading to a painful cycle of overconfidence and eventual disillusionment. We see it in the novice who believes they can master a complex skill like a new language or a musical instrument in a few short weeks, only to become frustrated and give up when they realize the true depth of the subject. We encounter it in the workplace, where an inexperienced employee might be overly confident in their opinions, while a seasoned expert is more cautious and nuanced in their approach. This is not a sign of arrogance on the part of the novice. It's a natural cognitive blind spot. They don't know enough to know what they don't know. The less you are aware of a topic's complexity, the easier it is to believe you have a full grasp of it. This can lead to poor decisions, missed opportunities for genuine learning, and a resistance to valuable feedback. We become so certain of our own limited knowledge that we shut ourselves off from the wisdom of others and from the possibility of growth. The superhero within us, however, uses the Dunning-Kruger effect as a compass for growth. They understand that a high degree of confidence, especially in the early stages of a new pursuit, is a warning sign, not a badge of honor. This superpower is the ability to embrace a state of intellectual humility. When they feel overly confident about a new skill, they don't celebrate their perceived genius. They see it as an invitation to dive deeper, to seek out feedback, and to actively look for the limits of their own knowledge. This is a journey from the mountaintop of "I know everything" to the valley of "I know how much I don't know." It is in this valley, a place of humble curiosity, that true learning begins. They seek out mentors and experts, not to prove their own worth, but to absorb wisdom. They are not afraid to admit when they are wrong, because they understand that every mistake is a data point, a crucial piece of information on the path to mastery. This shift from certainty to curiosity is the key to unlocking a lifelong journey of learning and improvement. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the trap of intellectual arrogance. By embracing the humbling wisdom of the Dunning-Kruger effect, you gain the ability to continually grow, adapt, and learn. You become a person who is not afraid to say, "I don't know," because you understand that this is the first step toward finding a genuine answer. This superpower allows you to build a foundation of true expertise, not just a facade of confidence. You become a wise and trusted voice in your community, because your opinions are born not from a shallow understanding, but from a deep and often humbling journey of continuous learning. You learn to appreciate the complexity and beauty of the world, and you find a quiet strength in the constant pursuit of knowledge, knowing that the journey itself is the reward. Imagine a desert landscape, parched and lifeless, waiting desperately for a single drop of rain. When the first drops begin to fall, they don't just feel like water. They feel like the most precious, valuable substance in the world. The last drop, as it evaporates on the scorching earth, becomes even more significant, its fleeting presence imbuing it with an almost mythical power. The perceived value of the rain is not just in its substance, but in its rarity, its scarcity. This is the simple, yet profound truth behind the scarcity principle, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's deep-seated tendency to desire things more when we believe they are limited, rare, or about to disappear. It's the reason we feel an urgent need to buy a product labeled limited edition, or a strong desire to connect with someone who seems distant or unavailable. It's a primal human instinct that can either be a powerful tool for persuasion or a dangerous trap that leads us to make foolish and impulsive decisions. In our consumer-driven world, this effect is a constant, subtle presence. We are bombarded with messages like "offer ends soon," "only a few left," or "limited time only," and our minds, without conscious thought, respond to this pressure by placing a higher value on the item. We feel a sense of urgency, a fear of missing out, which can override our rational decision-making processes. This is not about the actual quality or utility of the item. It's about the perceived loss of the opportunity to have it. This can lead us to buy things we don't need, pursue relationships that are not healthy, or make choices that are not in our best interest, all because of the powerful, magnetic pull of something that is seemingly scarce. We become so focused on the fear of loss that we forget to ask the most important questions. Do I actually want or need this? Is this genuinely valuable to me? Or am I just reacting to its perceived rarity? This is a dangerous trap because it puts the power of our decisions in the hands of others, who can manipulate our perception of value by creating artificial scarcity. The superhero within us, however, understands the difference between true value and perceived scarcity. This superpower is not about ignoring the scarcity principle entirely. It is about recognizing it and using it as a signal to pause and reflect. When faced with a limited time offer, they don't just react, they take a moment to ask, is this truly a rare opportunity, or is someone trying to create a sense of urgency? They understand that true value is not something that is defined by its scarcity, but by its inherent quality, its usefulness, and its alignment with their personal values. This allows them to make wise, intentional choices, rather than impulsive, reactive ones. This is about reclaiming your personal power and refusing to be swayed by external pressures. By becoming aware of this cognitive bias, you gain the ability to step back, to breathe, and to evaluate a situation on its own merits, rather than on the fear of what you might lose. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the chains of impulsivity and a life of more intentional choices. By understanding the scarcity principle, you become a wise and discerning consumer of goods, relationships, and opportunities. You are no longer swayed by the fleeting allure of limited edition, but are drawn to things of genuine, lasting value. This superpower allows you to build a life rich with things that matter to you, not just things that others have convinced you are rare. You gain the ability to see through the illusion of scarcity and to find true abundance in your life, proving that the most precious things like love, wisdom, and inner peace are not scarce at all, but are always available to those who seek them with an open and discerning heart. A small mountain stream flows with a generous, unending spirit, giving its cool, clear water to every thirsty creature and plant along its banks. It doesn't ask for anything in return. It simply gives, but in a beautiful, natural cycle. The plants and trees it nourishes grow strong and healthy, their roots holding the soil together, preventing erosion and ensuring the stream's continued steady flow. The stream's generosity creates a natural echo, a subtle return of goodness that ensures its own survival. This is the simple, yet profound truth behind the Reciprocity Principle, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our deep-seated need to repay kindness, favors, and gifts. It's the silent, unspoken rule that governs much of our social interaction, a powerful force that can be used to build deep, lasting relationships or to manipulate and coerce others. It is a fundamental truth of human connection when someone gives to us. We feel an almost irresistible urge to give back. In our human lives, this principle is a constant, though often unseen, presence. Someone gives you a gift on your birthday, and you feel compelled to remember theirs. A colleague helps you with a difficult project, and you feel a sense of obligation to help them when they need it. A friend invites you to their party, and you feel a social pressure to invite them to yours. This is not just a matter of good manners, it is a powerful psychological force. We are so uncomfortable with the feeling of being indebted to someone that we will often go to great lengths to resolve that feeling. This can be a beautiful thing, forming the foundation of friendships and communities built on mutual support and kindness. But it can also be a trap. The principle can be exploited by salespeople who offer small free gifts, creating an obligation in the customer to listen to their pitch or make a purchase. It can be used by manipulative people who perform small, seemingly innocent favors, creating a sense of debt that they can then cash in on later for a much larger, more significant favor. We often fail to recognize that the feeling of obligation is not always a sign of a genuine connection. It can also be a subtle form of control. The superhero within us, however, understands the difference between genuine generosity and manipulative obligation. They embrace the reciprocity principle not as a tool for getting what they want, but as a way to build a life of genuine connection and abundance. This superpower is the ability to give freely, without any expectation of return. They give their time, their kindness, and their support not to create a debt in others, but because it is an expression of their own generous nature. This is a subtle but profound shift in mindset. When you give without expectation, the return that comes back to you is not a forced repayment. It is a genuine, heartfelt expression of gratitude and appreciation. This creates a powerful, positive cycle of giving and receiving that is not based on obligation, but on authentic connection. This approach allows you to build a network of relationships that are strong, resilient, and deeply meaningful, because they are not built on a foundation of "I owe you," but on a foundation of "I value you." The profound benefit of mastering this secret is a life rich with authentic relationships and genuine support. By embracing the giving heart of the reciprocity principle, you become a source of positive energy and kindness in the world. You are no longer focused on what you can get from others, but on what you can offer them. This superpower allows you to build a community of people who are not just willing to help you, but are genuinely happy to do so, because they know that your generosity is not a trick, but a fundamental part of who you are. By giving freely and without expectation, you create a powerful echo of goodness that will always find its way back to you, proving that the most valuable connections are not earned, but given. Imagine a sculptor beginning a new work, their chisel striking a fresh block of marble for the very first time. The initial lines they carve, the first forms they create, will profoundly influence every single stroke that follows. Those first impressions on the stone are not just temporary marks. They become the permanent foundation upon which the entire sculpture is built. Subsequent carvings will be shaped by these initial decisions, either reinforcing them or struggling against them. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the primacy effect, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's tendency to give disproportionate weight and importance to the first piece of information we receive about a person, an event, or an idea. It's the silent, invisible force behind the age-old wisdom. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. It tells us that what happens first doesn't just happen. It sets the stage for everything that comes after, creating a powerful lens through which we view all subsequent information. In our complex social world, we often underestimate the power of this effect. We might meet someone for the first time and, within the first few minutes, form an impression of them based on their handshake, their smile, or their initial words. This initial judgment, whether it's positive or negative, acts like that first carving on the marble, creating a filter through which we interpret all their future actions. If our first impression is that a person is kind and intelligent, we are more likely to notice and remember all the instances where they are kind and intelligent, while we might easily dismiss or forget any instances where they are not. Our minds actively seek out and pay more attention to information that confirms our initial impression. Conversely, if our first impression is negative, we will instinctively look for all the reasons to confirm that negative belief, making it incredibly difficult for the person to ever change our mind. This bias can lead us to make flawed judgments about people, preventing us from seeing their true multifaceted character and locking us into a perception that is often more a reflection of our first impression than their actual self. The superhero within us, however, understands that the first carving is not the final sculpture. This superpower is the ability to be a conscious and discerning observer, to recognize that the primacy effect is a mental shortcut, not a fundamental truth. They know that a person is more than just their first few moments of interaction, and that an idea is more than just its initial presentation. This practice requires a conscious effort to challenge your own assumptions and to remain open to new information, even if it contradicts your initial impression. When you meet someone new, you can be mindful of your first impression, but you can also make a conscious effort to hold that judgment lightly. You can say to yourself, "This is my initial feeling, but I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to allow this person to reveal their full self to me over time." This is about giving people the grace of a second chance, a third chance, and a chance to be fully known. It is the ability to actively seek out information that might challenge your first impression, to look for the nuances and complexities that make a person truly unique. The profound benefit of mastering the secret is the ability to build deeper, more authentic, and more resilient relationships. By neutralizing the power of the primacy effect, you free yourself from the trap of superficial judgments. You become a person who sees others as they truly are, a constantly evolving masterpiece, not a finished product. This superpower allows you to make more accurate and fair judgments, to connect with a wider variety of people, and to build relationships that are not based on a fleeting first impression, but on a deep and genuine understanding of who they are. It is the wisdom of the sculptor, who knows that the most beautiful works are not finished in a single stroke, but are revealed over time with patience, openness, and a gentle heart. Imagine a swift-moving stream, its waters flowing ceaselessly onward. If you were to drop a single, heavy stone into the current, that stone would become an anchor, its presence subtly but powerfully guiding the flow of the water around it. The water might still move forward, but its path has been forever altered by the presence of that first, fixed point. All subsequent debris, all the leaves and twigs that follow, will be influenced by that initial point of reference. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the anchoring effect. a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information we receive, the anchor, when making decisions. It's the invisible weight that can skew our judgments, from negotiating a salary to estimating a product's value, often without our conscious awareness. This first number, this initial piece of information, sets a powerful precedent for everything that follows. In our daily lives, we are constantly being swayed by this guiding weight. We see it in the negotiation of a car's price, where the salesperson's initial high price, the anchor, makes all subsequent lower prices seem more reasonable, even if they are still far above the car's actual value. We encounter it in the workplace, where an initial low salary offer can anchor our expectations, making us less likely to negotiate for what we are truly worth. This effect is so powerful because our minds are wired to seek out reference points, and the first number we hear is often the most salient. We don't have a perfect internal sense of value, so we latch on to the first available piece of data and use it as a benchmark. This can lead us to make poor financial decisions, accept unfair terms, or undervalue our own worth because we have been unconsciously anchored by a number that was never meant to be a fair starting point. We become like the stream, flowing along a path that was set for us by someone else's first move. The superhero within us, however, knows how to recognize and release this guiding weight. This superpower is the ability to consciously identify the anchor and then actively choose to disregard it. When faced with a negotiation, they don't just react to the first number. They pause and ask, what is the true, objective value of this item or this service, independent of the number that was just presented to me? This requires a conscious effort to do your own research, to establish your own internal benchmark, and to mentally unhook yourself from the initial anchor. It's the practice of grounding yourself in your own truth, your own research, and your own sense of value, rather than allowing yourself to be swayed by external and often manipulative information. This is about taking control of your own decision-making process and refusing to let your choices be predetermined by a single number. This is not about being stubborn or difficult. It is about being intentional and wise. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the ability to make more informed, equitable, and rational decisions. By neutralizing the anchoring effect, you free yourself from the subtle manipulations of others and gain the clarity to see things for their true value. This superpower allows you to become a more effective negotiator, a more discerning consumer, and a person who is not easily swayed by external influences. You learn to trust your own judgment and to base your decisions on a foundation of solid, objective information, rather than on the arbitrary number that was dropped into your stream. You become a master of your own path, steering your life's course with intentionality and wisdom, rather than allowing your direction to be set by the first stone that crosses your way. Imagine a ship sailing toward a distant horizon. After many days at sea, a great storm hits, tearing its sails and damaging its rudder. The captain, looking at the faded horizon and the long journey already endured, faces a difficult choice: turn back and abandon the journey, or continue forward, pouring more resources into a damaged vessel. The temptation is to continue, not because the destination is still viable, but because of the tremendous effort, time, and money already invested. The captain feels the weight of the sunk cost, the time and resources that have already been lost, and believes that to turn back would be to make all that past effort meaningless. This is the perilous trap of the sunk cost fallacy. A psychological secret that reveals our irrational tendency to continue a failing endeavor because of the resources we've already invested, rather than making a new decision based on the current and future costs and benefits. It's a powerful mental trap that keeps us tied to bad ideas, failed projects, and unhealthy relationships, all in a desperate attempt to justify our past choices. In our personal and professional lives, this fallacy is a quiet and persistent drain on our energy and our potential. We see it in the person who stays in a miserable job, not because they still believe in the company, but because they have already spent 10 years there. We see it in the creative who continues to work on a project they no longer believe in, because they have already invested hundreds of hours into it. We see it in the relationship that has long since lost its magic. But we stay because we've already invested so much of ourselves into it. The thought of walking away and wasting all that past effort feels like a profound loss. We confuse past investment with future potential, and in doing so, we double down on our failures. We become a slave to our own history, unable to make a clear, rational decision about the present because we are so preoccupied with the past. This is a life lived in the shadow of regret, where we are constantly trying to justify our past choices instead of making new ones that will lead to a better future. The superhero within us, however, understands the liberating truth of a new beginning. They know that the past is a story to be learned from, not a chain to be bound by. This superpower is the ability to recognize that a sunk cost is just that sunk. It is gone. It cannot be recovered. The only thing you can control is the present and the future. This practice requires a conscious act of emotional detachment, the ability to look at a situation not through the lens of, what have I already put into this, but through the lens of, what are the current costs and benefits, and what are the future possibilities. This is about having the courage to walk away from a bad investment, a toxic relationship, or a project that no longer serves you, even if it feels like you are giving up on the past. This is not a sign of weakness. It is a profound act of strength and self-respect. It is the wisdom to know that sometimes the most powerful and courageous thing you can do is to change your mind, change your course, and start fresh. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the chains of past failures and a life of empowered, forward-looking decisions. By neutralizing the sunk cost fallacy, you free up tremendous amounts of time, energy, and emotional resources that were once tied to a failing path. This superpower allows you to continually course correct, to pivot with grace, and to always choose the path that is most aligned with your current values and goals, regardless of where you started. It is the wisdom of the captain who, seeing the damage, has the courage to turn the ship around, knowing that a new, more promising horizon awaits. You learn to trust your intuition, to honor your present self, and to create a future that is not defined by the weight of your past, but by the lightness of your potential. Imagine a person standing at the mouth of a cave, and in the darkness, they hear a faint voice echoing from deep within. They believe the voice is saying their name, and from that moment on, they only listen for sounds that confirm this belief. The wind, the dripping water, the rustling of leaves, all of it is interpreted as the same familiar voice, even when it is not. They ignore the silence, the unfamiliar noises, and any evidence that might suggest the voice is an illusion. This is the perilous trap of confirmation bias, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's deep-seated tendency to seek out, interpret, and favor information that confirms our pre-existing beliefs, while conveniently ignoring or dismissing information that contradicts them. It's the invisible wall we build around our own perspectives, an echo chamber that makes it nearly impossible to see the world from a different point of view. In our polarized and information-saturated world, this bias has become a profound and dangerous force. We see it everywhere, from our political beliefs to our personal opinions about others. We follow news outlets and social media accounts that reinforce our existing worldview, and we avoid those that challenge it. We talk to friends and family who share our opinions, and we dismiss those who don't as misinformed or misguided. This is not a malicious act. It is a natural human tendency. It feels good to be right. It feels comfortable to have our beliefs confirmed. But this comfort comes at a great cost. It hardens our perspectives, making us resistant to change and growth. It prevents us from learning from others and from seeing the world in all its beautiful complexity. We become so certain of our own rightness that we lose our capacity for empathy and our ability to have a constructive dialogue with people who think differently. We become like the person in the cave, listening only to the echoes of our own voice, believing it to be the truth of the universe. The superhero within us, however, knows how to open the cave and step out into the light. This superpower is the ability to actively seek out disconfirming information. They understand that true wisdom is not about having all the right answers, but about asking all the right questions. This practice requires a conscious act of intellectual humility, the courage to seek out and engage with ideas that challenge your most deeply held beliefs. It's about not just tolerating opposing viewpoints, but actively seeking them out and giving them a fair hearing. When you read an article you disagree with, you don't just dismiss it, you ask, what if this were true? What could I learn from this perspective? When you have a conversation with someone who thinks differently, you don't just wait for your turn to talk. You genuinely listen, not to win an argument, but to understand. This is about building a mental muscle that allows you to see the world from multiple angles, to hold multiple, sometimes contradictory, ideas in your mind at once, and to embrace the beautiful messiness of truth. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the intellectual arrogance that keeps you small. By neutralizing the confirmation bias, you free yourself to continually grow, to learn from every person you meet, and to build a worldview that is not a rigid fortress, but a flexible and evolving tapestry. This superpower allows you to become a more compassionate, empathetic, and wise human being. You learn to appreciate the complexity of every issue and the humanity of every person. Even those you disagree with, you become a bridge builder, a person who can hold a space for open and honest dialogue in a world that is desperate for it. You learn to listen to the silent voices, the unfamiliar melodies, and the whispered truths that lie just outside your cave. And in doing so, you discover a world that is far richer, more beautiful, and more whole than you ever imagined. Imagine a person walking along a beach, their eyes scanning the sand for a unique shell or a smooth, perfect stone. They eventually find a small, unremarkable rock. But in that moment of discovery, something shifts. The rock is no longer just a rock. It becomes their rock. They take it home, place it on a shelf, and soon, its value in their mind begins to inflate. They would never sell it, for what it's objectively worth, because to them, it is priceless. Its value is not in its form or its function, but in the emotional ownership they have endowed it with. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the endowment effect, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's irrational tendency to place a higher value on things we own, simply because we own them. It's the invisible emotional attachment that makes us feel like our belongings are worth more than they are, and makes it incredibly difficult to let them go. In our consumer-driven, possession-heavy culture, this effect has a significant and often overlooked impact on our lives. We see it in the person who refuses to sell their old car for a fair price, because in their mind, it holds a decade of memories and is therefore worth more. We see it in our homes, where we hold on to clothes we no longer wear, furniture we no longer use, and sentimental items that clutter our lives, all because the thought of giving them up feels like a loss of a part of ourselves. This is not a logical process, it is a deeply emotional one. The moment we acquire something, it becomes a part of our narrative, a piece of our story, and the thought of parting with it feels like tearing a page out of our own book. This attachment can lead to a life of emotional and physical clutter, where our possessions end up owning us, rather than the other way around. We become slaves to our own sentimental attachments, unable to make rational decisions about what truly serves us and what is holding us back. The superhero within us, however, understands the difference between true value and emotional attachment. This superpower is the ability to recognize that the value of an item is not in our ownership of it, but in its usefulness and its alignment with our current life. They practice a form of mental and emotional decluttering, where they can look at an object and ask, does this item serve me? Does it bring me joy in the present moment? Or is its only value the fact that I own it? This practice requires a conscious act of detachment, the courage to let go of the past and to make space for the future. It's about understanding that our memories are not stored in our possessions. They are stored in our hearts and in our minds. You can let go of a cherished sweater and still hold on to the memory of the person who gave it to you. You can sell an old car and still hold on to the memory of the road trips you took in it. This is not about becoming a minimalist. It is about becoming a person who is not owned by their possessions, but who owns their life. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the weight of emotional clutter and a life of greater freedom and intentionality. By neutralizing the endowment effect, you free yourself to live a life that is not defined by the things you own, but by the experiences you have. This superpower allows you to make more rational decisions about your belongings, to create a home that is a sanctuary of peace rather than a storehouse of things, and to have a greater sense of lightness and clarity in your life. You learn to appreciate the true value of things, not the inflated value of your own emotional attachment. You become a person who can hold things lightly, appreciating them for what they are in the present moment, and having the courage to let them go when they no longer serve you. You discover that true wealth is not in the things you own, but in the freedom you have to live a life that is truly your own. Imagine a gardener standing in the center of a vast, magical garden filled with an endless variety of seeds. Each seed promises a different, beautiful flower. There are seeds for roses, lilies, orchids, and 1,000 other exotic blooms, and the gardener has the power to plant them all. But as they look out at the infinite possibilities. They feel not joy, but a quiet, paralyzing anxiety. They worry that if they choose the rose, they will miss out on the beauty of the lily. If they choose the orchid, they will regret not having the vibrant colors of the sunflower. The sheer volume of choices becomes a heavy burden, preventing them from planting a single seed and finding the simple peace of tending to one patch of earth. This is the profound and often overlooked truth of the paradox of choice, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's tendency to feel less satisfied and more anxious as the number of available options increases. It's the silent burden that makes us feel overwhelmed by a menu with too many items, a dating app with too many profiles, or a career path with too many possibilities. In our modern world, we are told that freedom is the ability to choose. And we have built a society that offers us an almost endless array of options for everything. From the brand of coffee we drink to the partner we choose to marry. We have been conditioned to believe that more choice is always better. But this assumption is a dangerous illusion. When we are faced with an overwhelming number of options, our minds become paralyzed with the fear of making the wrong decision. We fall into a state of analysis paralysis, where we spend so much time and energy researching, comparing, and deliberating that we never actually get to the point of making a choice and taking action. And even after we do make a choice, we are often left with a lingering sense of doubt and regret, constantly wondering if we should have chosen one of the other options. This constant comparison and second-guessing prevents us from finding true contentment and joy in the choices we have made, turning the very idea of freedom into a source of stress and dissatisfaction. We become a slave to our own possibilities, unable to fully embrace the life we are living, because we are always looking over our shoulder at the lives we could have lived. The superhero within us, however, understands that true freedom is not in having infinite choices, but in the power of a single, intentional choice. This superpower is the ability to embrace the beauty of limitation. They know that a single, well-tended flower is a source of far more joy than an entire garden of possibilities. This practice requires a conscious act of intentionality, the courage to look at a vast array of options and say, I am choosing this, and I am choosing to be content with this choice. This is not about settling. It is about finding peace. It is about simplifying your life by actively reducing the number of choices you have to make. This can be as simple as choosing a single brand of coffee and sticking with it, or as profound as committing to a single career path and giving it your full, undivided attention. When you make a choice and you close the door on the other possibilities, you are not losing freedom. You are gaining a sense of focus, purpose, and profound satisfaction. You are no longer wasting your energy on what-ifs, but are pouring it into what is. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the quiet burden of anxiety and a life of profound contentment. By neutralizing the paradox of choice, you free yourself to live a life of focus and deep engagement. This superpower allows you to make decisions with greater confidence and to find a sense of peace in the choices you have made. You learn to appreciate the depth of a single experience, a single relationship, or a single path, rather than chasing the fleeting allure of 1,000 others. You become a person who can sit in the quiet of your own garden, not with anxiety over what you haven't planted, but with a deep sense of gratitude for the one beautiful thing you have chosen to grow. Imagine a moth, lost in the dark, and a person holding a small, gentle lantern. Instead of the person offering to carry the moth to safety, they simply offer the lantern to the moth, saying, "Could you hold this for me for a moment?" The moth, with its tiny, fluttering wings, holds the light steady. In this simple act of trust and assistance, an unspoken bond is formed. The moth, having done a favor for the person, now feels a greater sense of connection, a subconscious investment in their well-being. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the Ben Franklin effect, a powerful psychological secret that reveals a fascinating paradox. We tend to like people more after we do them a favor, not the other way around. It's the silent, invisible force that turns a simple request into an opportunity for connection, and a small act of assistance into a foundation for a lasting relationship. In our social lives, we are often told that the way to make people like us is to do favors for them, to impress them with our generosity and our helpfulness. We believe that by giving to others, we will earn their affection and their respect. While this is often true, it is only half of the story. The other, more powerful half, is often overlooked. We are so afraid of seeming needy or of inconveniencing others that we refuse to ask for help, even for the smallest of things. We try to be self-sufficient, to be the person who always gives and never takes. But this approach, while well-intentioned, can create a subtle distance between us and others. When we do everything on ourselves, we deny people the opportunity to invest in us, to show us their kindness, and to feel the quiet satisfaction that comes from being helpful. This can leave us feeling isolated and disconnected. Even when we are surrounded by people, we become the person who is always holding the lantern, but never allowing anyone else to hold it for a moment. And in doing so, we fail to forge the bonds of mutual investment that make relationships truly strong. The superhero within us, however, understands that asking for a favor is not a sign of weakness. It is a profound act of trust. This superpower is the ability to be vulnerable, to ask for help with grace and sincerity. They know that a simple request for a small favor, "Could you watch my bag while I grab a coffee?" or "Could you give me your opinion on this idea?" is a powerful invitation for another person to invest in them. This practice requires a conscious effort to let go of the need to be a self-sufficient hero and to embrace the strength that comes from interdependence. It is about understanding that when you ask for help, you are not just getting a task done. You are giving another person an opportunity to feel valuable, to feel needed, and to feel connected to you. This creates a powerful, positive feedback loop where both people feel a greater sense of appreciation and connection. You are no longer just an acquaintance. You are a person they have helped, and in doing so, you have become a person they like. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the ability to build deeper, more authentic, and more resilient relationships. By neutralizing the fear of asking for help, you free yourself to build genuine connections that are not based on a one-sided generosity, but on a foundation of mutual investment. This superpower allows you to become a person who is not just admired for your strength, but cherished for your humanity. You learn that the most powerful bonds are not formed in grand gestures, but in the small, quiet moments of trust and assistance. You become a person who is not afraid to say, "I need you," because you understand that these 3 words are the most powerful invitation for connection in the world. You learn that by allowing others to help you, you are not diminishing yourself. You are, in fact, allowing them to step into their own power and to feel the incredible joy that comes from being a part of your life. Imagine a skilled painter standing before a beautiful landscape. They could choose to paint it on a bright, sunlit morning where the colors are vibrant and the sky is a clear, inviting blue. Or they could choose to paint the exact same scene at dusk, where the light is muted, the shadows are long, and the mood is somber and reflective. The subject of the painting is the same, but the way it is presented, or framed, completely changes our perception of it. The first painting evokes feelings of hope and joy, while the second evokes a sense of quiet introspection and melancholy. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the framing effect, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's tendency to react differently to the exact same piece of information, depending on how it is presented. It's the invisible art of persuasion, the silent language that can make us see a glass as either half empty or half full, a surgical procedure as either a 90% success rate or a 10% failure rate, and a difficult situation as either a crisis or an opportunity in our daily lives. This effect is a constant, subtle presence that shapes our decisions and our emotional states. We see it in the media, where the same event can be framed as a triumph or a tragedy, depending on the headline and the specific words used. We encounter it in conversations, where a friend might frame a difficult situation not as a problem, but as a challenge or a learning opportunity, which completely changes our emotional response to it. We see it in our own internal monologue, where we can frame a missed opportunity not as a failure, but as a path that was not meant for us. The words we use, the tone we take, and the context we create are not just neutral carriers of information. They are powerful tools that can completely alter the meaning and the emotional weight of a message. When we are not conscious of this, we are easily swayed by the frames that others present to us, and we become reactive to the way things are presented, rather than to the things themselves. We become like the person looking at the painting, believing the mood of the art is the truth of the landscape, and forgetting that the light and the shadows were a deliberate choice. The superhero within us, however, is not just a passive observer of the painting. They are the master painter of their own reality. This superpower is the ability to not just recognize the frame, but to actively choose it. They know that while they can't always control what happens to them, they can always control the story they tell themselves about what happened. This practice requires a conscious act of reframing. The courage to look at a difficult situation and ask, how else could I look at this? Or, what is a more empowering way to frame this experience? This is not about being a pessimist or an optimist. It is about being a realist who understands the power of their own perspective. When they are faced with a setback, they can choose to frame it not as a permanent failure, but as a temporary detour. When they are faced with a criticism, they can choose to frame it not as an attack on their character, but as an opportunity for growth. This is about taking control of your own internal narrative, and in doing so, taking control of your own emotional state and your own actions. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from being a victim of circumstance and a life of greater resilience and empowerment. By neutralizing the framing effect, you free yourself to see the world not just as it is presented to you, but as you choose to see it. This superpower allows you to become a more effective communicator, a more empathetic listener, and a person who can navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. You learn that your words, both to yourself and to others, are not just tools for communication. They are the very brushstrokes that paint the masterpiece of your reality. You become a master of your own perspective. And in doing so, you discover that the greatest power you possess is not in changing the world, but in changing how you see it. Imagine a magnificent, ancient tree, its roots reaching deep into the earth, its branches stretching toward the heavens. This tree has endured countless storms, droughts, and seasons of scarcity, yet it stands tall and strong. Its resilience is not just a matter of its physical strength. It is a result of a deep, consistent process of gratitude. Every day, the tree accepts the gentle warmth of the sun, not as an entitlement, but as a priceless gift. It draws up the life-giving water from the earth, not with a sense of demand, but with a quiet, profound appreciation. This constant practice of receiving and acknowledging what it has, rather than focusing on what it lacks, has given it an unshakable inner strength. Its gratitude is a kind of emotional armor, a protective layer that allows it to weather any storm, knowing that it is already so rich and so full. This is the simple, yet profound truth of the power of gratitude, a powerful psychological secret that reveals our mind's ability to be fundamentally rewired for happiness, resilience, and inner peace, simply by consciously and consistently acknowledging the good that is already present in our lives. In our modern, fast-paced world, we have become experts at focusing on what is missing. We are constantly chasing the next promotion, the next possession, the next achievement, and in this relentless pursuit, we forget to pause and appreciate the immense wealth we already possess. Our minds are wired to seek out threats and problems, a holdover from our evolutionary past. And this negativity bias can make us feel like we are constantly in a state of lack. We compare ourselves to others. We lament our imperfections, and we worry about a future that has not yet arrived. This constant state of dissatisfaction is not a reflection of our reality. It is a reflection of our focus. We are like a person standing in a beautiful, sunlit field, but with our eyes fixated on the one small shadow at our feet. We take for granted the love of our family, the simple pleasure of a good meal, the incredible miracle of our own healthy body, and the countless small blessings that make up our lives. This lack of gratitude is not just a missed opportunity for joy. It is a source of chronic stress and unhappiness, leaving us feeling empty, even when we have so much. The superhero within us, however, understands that gratitude is not a passive emotion. It is an active practice. This superpower is the ability to intentionally shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. It is the practice of becoming the ancient tree, consciously acknowledging the gifts that the universe brings to you every day. This can be as simple as a daily gratitude journal, where you write down 3 things you are thankful for, or as profound as a mindful moment of appreciation for the food you are about to eat. The magic of this practice is not just in the words you write or the thoughts you think. It is in the way it fundamentally rewires your brain. By consistently focusing on the positive, you are building new neural pathways that make it easier to see the good in your life, even in the midst of a challenge. Gratitude is the most powerful antidote to fear, anxiety, and comparison, because it anchors you in the present moment and reminds you that you are already enough, and you already have enough. It is an emotional shield that deflects the negativity of the world and allows you to stand strong in your own inner peace. The profound benefit of mastering this secret is the liberation from the endless cycle of dissatisfaction and a life of profound joy and resilience. By embracing gratitude as a daily practice, you gain the ability to find happiness not in the pursuit of more, but in the appreciation of what is. This superpower allows you to navigate life's inevitable challenges, not with a sense of despair, but with an unshakable inner calm, knowing that no matter what happens, you still have so much to be thankful for. You learn that your happiness is not dependent on your circumstances, but on your perspective. You become a source of light for others, a person who can see the beauty in the small things and the wonder in the everyday. And in doing so, you discover that the most beautiful gift you can ever receive is not the one you get, but the one you already have. My friend, we have reached the end of our quiet journey together. A journey not across distant lands, but through the intricate and beautiful landscape of your own mind. We began with a secret longing for a different kind of power, and we end with the understanding that this power was never external. It was always waiting within you. You are not a passive observer of your life, but a skilled navigator. And these 20 psychological secrets are the tools, the compass, and the map you needed to steer your course with intention and grace. You have learned the secret of the inner gardener, understanding that true power lies not in instant gratification, but in the patient, quiet work of delayed gratification. You have embraced the echo in the forest, learning to build bridges of connection through the silent language of rapport. You have found the liberating truth of the lonely star, realizing that the spotlight of judgment was an illusion, and that you are free to live your life with authenticity and courage. You have become a master of mind-body alchemy, a discerning observer of the halo effect, and a humble student of the mountain, understanding that true wisdom lies in the recognition of how much there is to learn. You have learned to separate true value from the magnetic pull of scarcity, and to give freely without expectation, creating a powerful echo of kindness. You have found the wisdom of the sculptor, knowing that a person is more than their first impression, and the wisdom of the flowing stream, refusing to be anchored by the first piece of information. You have learned the liberating escape of the fading horizon, understanding that a sunk cost is just that, and that you are always free to begin again. You have opened the doors of your own cave, seeking out voices that challenge your beliefs, and you have liberated yourself from emotional clutter by understanding that your memories live not in your possessions, but in your heart. You have found the quiet peace of the gardener, embracing the power of a single, intentional choice over the burden of infinite possibilities. You have become a keeper of the lending light, understanding that asking for help is an act of connection, and a master painter of your own reality, choosing the frame that empowers you. And finally, you have built an emotional armor of gratitude, learning to find profound joy and resilience not in what you get, but in what you already have. This is not a list of facts to be remembered, but a way of seeing to be practiced. Each secret is a muscle you can strengthen, a perspective you can choose. The world is still the same, but you are not. You are now equipped with the profound understanding of the invisible currents that guide us all. You have become a hero not because you can fly or lift cars, but because you have done the most courageous thing of all. You have looked inward, understood the intricate dance of your own mind, and chosen to live with greater awareness. purpose, and compassion. This journey is not over. It is just beginning. Go forth, my friend, and live with the quiet strength, the gentle wisdom, and the unwavering light of the superhero you have always been.